Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is Wednesday. I've been away for a couple months, and I've been kind of retooling things, moving things around a little bit, and kind of want to talk about something actually really interesting, um, something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and quite honestly, I think it might be very beneficial and helpful for you guys too. Um, so we just got done with the baseball All-Star game yesterday. It looks like the American League won yet again. Being that I am a New York Mets fan, have been for my whole life, and think, I guess the best way, they're my team, even though, I've lived in Houston, and even though I live currently in the LA area, um, I still hold my allegiance to the team I grew up with. So much so, for my birthday, I actually asked um, for, a jersey for the City Connect for the New York Mets, which is actually kind of interesting. Um, their logo is a subway old subway token. The pinstripes are diamonds and circles, indication of express trains and local trains in the New York subway system. So it's really unique. Not only that, the colors are remarkably different than the colors typically used by the Mets, which are blue and orange. So basically, Dodger blue and Giants orange. Um, they actually decide to go with concrete gray and with this purple color, which is actually the same color as the 7 train, the subway train that goes actually to the stadium. So there's a lot of different connections there. And the reason I bring this up as a kind of a segue into this, the other thing that's going to happen um, in about 2 weeks or so, the trading deadline ends, or it comes upon us, where teams won't be able to trade anymore. Um, but the other thing is, a lot of times they use this as an opportunity to hedge their bets on people who are becoming free agents. Where at the end of the season, after the World Series is over, um, people who are eligible for free agency, they automatically become free agents. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of times we feel and we believe in the careers that we are in the companies we work for, that we are tied to them. And we're tied to them in such a way that we can't leave. Now that attachment is more based out of, say, fear and concern and making sure you provide for your family. But the truth of the matter is this: you are actually a free agent. You always are. You can choose at any time you wish to leave. You can choose also to stay. So what's nice about this is this. A lot of times we stay in situations that are not ideal. We stay in situations where the company or the manager you work for are abusive. Um, I think the other part of it is, I'm trying to get this where it doesn't flicker as much. I might have to do this. We're going no virtual background now. That flickering just annoyed the living daylights out of me. Um, so I guess the best way to put it is this: as a free agent, a lot of times we just stay in situations because we're afraid of what could possibly happen. The devil that kind of situation. And what ends up happening is we stay in situations that are abusive, that are not fair, that are not right for us. And then the other thing is, we also a lot of times accept less than what we actually deserve. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is companies and managers will see you in a certain role, find that you are crucial to that role and may be less inclined to move you up and move you around. Now, unfortunately, this is not good for you. This is not good for your career. It's not good for your progression and your aspirations. I'm sure you went into wherever you're working right now with different aspirations that you actually wanted to accomplish and do different things. So, what I want you to keep in mind is this, that you are a free agent, that you have the ability to make changes in your work situation. Now, of course, there are right ways to do this and there are wrong ways to do this. And I'm not advocating for you to walk into your boss's office and say, I'm out of here. But what I am advocating is for you to get curious about this kinds of things. It's really interesting. Early on, when I was in college, I actually, um, before going for my master's degree, um, I actually studied history and political science, and I had the thought and the dream of actually working in Washington and being one of those Washington insiders. Um, I quickly learned that this may not be for me. And what I think is really interesting is one of the things I actually learned during that time. I was what they call a congressional scholar. I got into a program over the summer where for, I think it was a week or 2 weeks, I went to Washington, D.C. I got to go on the floor of the House. I got to sit in the speaker's chair. Talk about for somebody in their, in their late teens, early 20s, that's pretty darn cool. Actually, I think it was in my early 20s at that point. But it was pretty darn cool. Um, but one of the things that happened is we got to talk to a lot of different people. And what was really nice was one of the people that we talked to was actually somebody who was working in Washington, was working in government, in politics. And again, the cycles are every 2 to 4 years, depending upon who you're working for, maybe 6 years. This person that I had met, um, gave us some advice on how to go out there. And one bit of advice was this, when it comes to your resume, put it on good quality resume paper. And he advocated using Cranes. And the reason for it is Cranes provides the paper for our currency, for our money. So he was like, if you want to go and you want to be like money, put your resume on it, which to this day I still do. The other bit of advice that he gave actually was he periodically goes out and he puts his resume out there. And it's not necessarily that he's looking to leave his job. He does it for actually a couple reasons. The first reason is to kind of see what's out there. The other reason is he wants to see kind of what the market is, what his skills are worth in the marketplace. And if he does get an offer and he gets something that looks interesting and that's paying him more and stuff like that, then he always has the option to make a change. So again, for him, it's to see what his value was in the marketplace and then to better his situation. So a lot of times we get very complacent and we forget that we are free agents. Unless you have a contract saying you have to be here for X amount of years and we're going to pay you Y amount of money for that time, where you're locked into a career like a baseball player, right? Baseball players have contracts. They play for a team for as long as their contract is there, and they get paid whatever their contract says. Unless you're in that kind of situation, you are a free agent. So my advice to you is this. If you have not dusted off that resume in years, I would do so. I would also start to look at where I am in my career. Have I been in the same role for 3 to 5 years or more? And have they had discussions with me? Has my employer, has my boss had discussions with me about my performance, where I can improve, what are the next steps, what are potential moves that I can make within the organization that they value you? And then the other thing is this, to passively network and start to find out what your value and what your worth is in the marketplace. You may be pleasantly surprised. And in some cases, you may understand or you may realize that for the work you do, the job you're doing, you are underpaid for what that is. And it's no fault of your own or anything like that. But you do have to understand that if you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know. And again, it's not where you're going to publicize this and saying, I'm looking for work. I'm looking for work. No, you're not doing that. You're passively going out there and you're passively looking to see what's there. And by doing so, you then understand and you get to understand what the marketplace is like. Again, free agency. The other part of it is you want to make sure that when you're putting yourself out there, that you're understanding kind of what's kind of going on in the marketplace. And again, you may choose to stay put, and that is fine. But I'm going to tell you some of the research that I've done recently over the last 3 to 4 months, and that's kind of why I've been off the air a little bit, because I've been doing research, is that there are a lot of people out there that are stagnant in their careers. They're not having those discussions with their managers. The managers are not initiating them. And they're kind of stuck. They're getting maybe raises on a regular basis. They may be getting, bonuses and stuff like that. But basically, when it comes to progression, even new experiences, moving from one job to another to round out your skill set so you can get promoted, that stuff's not happening. And those discussions are not happening. And typically what I go and I tell my clients is this: at the end of the day, when we work together, what we're going to do is we're going to find out some things. And we're going to ask some very serious questions. And the first question is, do they like us and do we like them? Do we like our job? Do we like working for the company we're working for? And do they like us by showing us respect, compensating us well in the marketplace, doing all that? Now, it may be a situation where you like them and they might not like you because they're undervaluing and underappreciating who you are and what you bring to the table. They may not know because you've maybe done a poor job in talking yourself up. It may be a situation where they love you. And at the end of the day, you're like, I hate my job. I hate coming to this company. The values don't match. And the worst of all situations is they don't like you. You don't like them. It's a bad situation. And basically you're sticking around there to collect a paycheck. And unfortunately, if it's a situation like that where they don't like you, you don't like them, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself being called into HR and saying, hey, we're letting you go. At some point, it's probably going to happen. I can't say guaranteed it's going to happen, but most probably it will. So what's great is when you go through this exercise and you understand kind of, do you like them? Do they like us? That kind of stuff. Then you have two choices. You can move to the right and you can work on changing that narrative and changing that relationship. And there's certain steps you need to do to kind of change kind of the narrative that people have of you and kind of the things that you need to do to get promoted and to move up and to move around within the organization. A lot of it is initiating those conversations. And then the other side, the left side, nice L here, left side stands for leaving, where you start to prepare and you start to make plans for an eventual exit. Like I said, it's not a situation where it's like, hey, I'm leaving today, I'm just dropping and leaving. No, this is structured, planned. This is with a strategy, having everything in order before you just go and jump off. Because one of the things I will tell you is this: having a job and then looking for a job and landing a job is always easier than being without a job and trying to land a job. And the truth is this: a lot of times there's a perception in hiring managers' minds that if you have been let go or you've been out of work, there must be a reason for it, and they fill it with the negative. It could be 110% incorrect, but they will fill it in with the negative because that's the safe bet. So we're going to tie things up here. And again, for you, I want you to remember this. At the end of the day, you are the free agent in your career. You're the CEO of your career, and you cannot let your career run you. You run and you manage your career. Your career doesn't manage you. Now, one of the things I will share with you is this. I work with people all the time. If you want to go and book some time with me, it's totally free. It's an informational. Scan that code, and it will send you to my calendar. It's 30 minutes. We sit and we chat, and we'll see kind of what your situation is and see how I might help. There's no obligation. Again, I am very person kind of oriented. It's the reason I got into human resources to begin with. And again, it's one of those things where if I don't think I can help you, I won't take you on as a client. But at the end of the day, let's sit and have a chat and let's see where there might be possibilities for you to change your narrative today. So have a wonderful week, everyone. Take care, and I will see you next